everyone, and welcome to Thorough Newspaper Analysis, which is brought to you by LawSeco. So, today we will be discussing two articles. The first article is from The Hindu, which is titled as Weaker Germs, Stronger Cures. This article emphasizes about the AMR, which is antimicrobial resistance. So, we will discuss as to what do we mean by AMR, and secondly, what are the challenges that we face due to it, and some probable solutions to it. And secondly, the article is from the Indian Express, which is titled as Time to Bridge the Gulf. So basically, it talks about giving more attention towards the relationship between the Gulf region and India, and how can this relation help India to become more politically, economically, and otherwise also stable. So we'll be discussing it in this article. And thirdly, we have the news in flash, wherein we'll be discussing the small and crisp news points that are more important for our prelims exam. So if you're also preparing for judicial services examination, you can definitely have a look at the LawSeco courses that we have for you. So we have the Law of the Courses, which is the Judiciary Test Prep course, which you can enroll into if you also want to have an amazing guidance towards this exam. The link is there in the description box, and from the landing page itself, you can download free study material which you can use for your preparation. Then we are excelling into various other courses as well, like for CLAT, All India Bar Exam, Judgment Writing, SEBI, etc. You can definitely look at them too. So let's see that what is the multiple choice question for the day. Cyclone Nivar, recently seen in news, is predicted to be originated in first, Arabian Sea, second, Bay of Bengal, third, South China Sea, or fourth, Atlantic Ocean. So if you know the right answer, you can put it down in the comment section below. This is the descriptive question for the day. What is antimicrobial resistance? Discuss the ways to deal with it. And the answer must be written within a word limit of 250 to maximum 300 words. With this, let's discuss the first article, which talks about the antimicrobial resistance. Now, the very name itself is suggesting as to what would be the probable meaning of antimicrobial resistance. So, by anti, we simply mean something that is against some particular thing. By microbial, we mean by the virtue of microbes or bacteria. So, that means any kind of bacterial infection. And resistance is that when something develops a shield over it, wherein it is resistant and there is no effect on that particular thing with respect to any other thing. So basically, the antimicrobial resistance is a kind of resistance which is developed by the microbes or the disease-causing bacteria or the microbes against the antibiotics that we actually use to treat them. So this has become a huge problem these days. Like for example, if somebody is suffering from a particular kind of infection and the doctor prescribes that patient with a particular antibiotic to be taken. But if the very microbe that we are fighting against in the human body, or be it in the animal body as well, so because the problem of AMR is not only restricted to humans, but also to animals and other species as well. And in such a scenario, just imagine a situation wherein the very antibiotic, which was meant to cure the disease by killing the disease causing bacteria, but now this bacteria is able to fight against the very effect of this medicine, this antibiotic. So this is known as the antimicrobial resistance, which actually puts down the entire purpose of actually taking any kind of medicine or antibiotics. So, as we know that most of the germs in the current scenario have acquired the capacity to resist the action of affordable antibiotics. Now, there might be a chance that this particular kind of bacteria can be killed with an antibiotic, which is very, very expensive and which is rarely available. But if we talk about the common types of antibiotics that are available in the markets and at the medical shops, then these antibiotics are not very effective in the current scenario on many kinds of microbes or the disease causing germs. So let's understand as to what are the consequences of this AMR or the antimicrobial resistance. Firstly, it accrues inability of antibiotics to treat patients and animals, as we have just discussed, that the very purpose for which these antibiotics are taken by the animal or the humans, this purpose cannot be resolved because the microbes now are very much resistant to the effect of these antibiotics. So this actually creates a kind of havoc on human and animal health, nutrition, and economies. Because obviously, if this drug or the antibiotic, which was meant to cure a particular disease, If now it is not able to do so, so definitely there will be a situation of havoc, as to now we will not be able to understand that what next, or what cure or treatment should be taken next to prevent this particular disease. Secondly, long term impact can be comparable to COVID 19. Like, for example, in the COVID 19 as well, the like in the situation of COVID 19 as well, as we can see that COVID 19 is also one kind of a disease, or in a way it's one kind of an infection that to which we're not able to find a particular cure. Now in this situation also, there is many a times has also been seen that some drugs in the initial stage were seen a bit effective on treating the microbes or causing the COVID-19. But over the time, we have seen that due to the mutational changes that these microbes are able to make, or these this virus actually is able to make, so the particular medicines which we currently have, or we had taken them, they were not showing any kind of effect anymore. So this can also, a long term effect can also result into pandemics like COVID-19. Thirdly, estimated to cause 10 million deaths annually by 2050. Basically, since we know that research and development also is important, but if at all every research and development that has been made till date, if it becomes futile, as in if it becomes pointless, and no antibiotic would show proper result on the microbes or the disease causing germs or the disease causing factors, then definitely a lot of patients would be on risk of death as well. And it is estimated that approximately 10 million deaths would be caused annually by 2050 due to the antimicrobial resistance in the microbes. Then it would result in 7.5% reduction in the livestock production. So by the livestock production, we mean that the production, the various kinds of products and the benefits that we gain through livestock, that is through animals, like we have cows, buffaloes, poultry, etc. And since the microbes will be showing a greater impact on their health and the antibiotics would not be able to function properly, there is an estimate of 7.5% reduction in the livestock production as well. And ultimately, it would definitely negatively impact the global GDP by 3.5%, which would be a huge, to say, brunt on the global economy. Now, here are some causes of the antibiotic resistance. Or there is one small notice I would like to give in here, that please do not get confused between antimicrobial or antibiotic resistance. They're both the same terms, and many a times they are used interchangeably as well. By antibiotic resistance, we mean that whatever antibiotics we are giving for a cure, the microbes have developed the resistance towards these antibiotic medicines as well. And antimicrobial also mean that the medicines which are meant for curbing down the impacts of the disease causing microbes. Now, here are some reasons why the AMR is actually caused. Firstly, overprescribing of antibiotics. Now, many a times what we do is that once, for example, we fall ill and the doctor prescribes us some particular kind of antibiotics. Now, after a few months, days, or maybe after a few days, we again fall sick. So, what we do is that we tend to take the same medicines over and over again. Now, what happens is that a body becomes very much used to of having this particular antibiotic, and even the microbes that were there in this body also become habitual of taking this particular thing. Now I'll give you a very simple example to understand this. For example, there is a person who does a job of frying some particular fritters, to what we call in Hindi as any kinds of snacks in the oil. Now, if once a droplet of hot oil falls on the skin of this person, definitely it causes a lot of irritation and a lot of pain. But you must have noticed that people who do this job every now and then, and it's their daily job to fry something in hot oil, they become very resistant to the heat of that oil, and even if some small amount of oil falls on them, it would not really cause them much of any kind of problem. So this is almost the same situation wherein the microbes also, the disease causing microbes in the body as well, become very much resistant to the very antibiotics that are taken by the body. Another example of this can be taken in, as you might have seen, that we have many kinds of mosquito coils that we use for killing the mosquitoes in our households very regularly. But nowadays people have often been complaining that they light up the mosquito coils, but the mosquitoes tend to have no real effect of any kind of the smoke that comes out of the mosquito coil. And that is why, to make the smoke more effective, later on the flashcards or the 1 rupee card that we used to have, the pink color cards, we burn them, and the smoke that comes out of these cards is actually very much effective on the mosquitoes, because they were not really resistant to the smoke of this new kind of coil. So this is a very good example through which we can understand the antimicrobial resistance as well. Now, the other reason can be patients not finishing their treatment. Now, many a times what happens is, this is a very general problem in all the humankind, and that what we tend to do is that, for example, the doctor has prescribed us any particular kind of medicine for, say, a week. But definitely, when we are taking medicines, we tend to feel better within 2 to 3 days. And what we do is that we stop taking medicines further, and we do not finish the course of this entire week or 5 days or 15 days, whatsoever it be. Due to this, what happens is that we think that the microbes that were causing the disease have been completely killed, but still they remain in a dormant position in the body. And later on, when they further multiply, they again cause the same disease as they were causing again. But now the microbes that have multiplied this time have better resistance towards the antibiotics that we had taken the last time. So that is why it is very important that we finish the entire course of antibiotics, whatever we are taking. Thirdly, overuse of antibiotics in livestock and fish farming, almost the same thing that happens many a times, that we ourselves many a times try to become doctors and feed our livestock and animals with the antibiotics that we have knowledge of, and many a times we tend to overdose the entire thing. That should not be the case. Fourthly, poor infection control in hospitals and clinics. Obviously, hygiene and sanitation is very important. Lack of hygiene and poor sanitation, lack of new antibiotics being developed. Now, just as I gave you example of the mosquito coils, and later on when we had the all-out flashcards or something like that. So because we had these new kind of cards, or burning the smoke to cure the problem of mosquitoes, so the mosquitoes were killed. And that is why it is important that we have continuous research and development that takes place in the fields of antibiotics as well. So here the entire stage of antibiotic or antimicrobial resistance has been shown, that here a high number of bacteria is there and a few of them are resistant, right? But then the antibiotics kill the blue one, which were actually not resistant to the antibiotics, and definitely they get killed by the antibiotics. But the orange ones, which we can see, had already developed the resistance towards this antibiotic, and then they develop a lot and they multiply to a very great extent, and finally they even transfer this drug resistance to the other bacteria, causing even further problems. So these are the probable solutions that have been given in this article. Firstly, discovery of new drugs before the emergence of resistance in the germs, which we have almost discussed. So, but we should understand that this is an expensive task to do. Approximately, it would take an amount of $1 billion, which is very hectic and huge. And also, this is unpredictable, since 1984, no new class of antibiotics has been developed. So, with the rapid development of resistance, the life of new antibiotics becomes limited and return on investment diminishes. Because, as we know, that the microbes are very smart and they develop this antimicrobial resistance very quickly. And if at all, any pharmaceutical company, it puts in billions of dollars in research and develops a particular kind of antibiotic against this particular to say microbe, but still this microbe has a very quick tendency to become resistant even again. And that is why this disincentivizes the investment and also the research in this field. Second step that can be taken is prudent use of available antibiotics, as we have discussed that according to the WHO Global Action Plan on the AMR as well, and even India has a national action plan for AMR, wherein we try to raise awareness amongst the people that in what way should the antibiotics be taken, what dosage of antibiotics should be taken, and how can we really cure the problem of AMR as well. So here the very idea of One Health has been given in this article, which says that we should be utilizing the existing expertise and infrastructure for curing this problem. The purpose of One Health is to provide a formal platform for experts to plan and work together towards shared objectives. And also it requires strong and continuous national narrative on zoonosis. Now basically zoonosis are the diseases that travel from animals towards the humans. Like just we have the very live example of COVID-19. We have SARS, which was severe acute respiratory syndrome. We have MERS, which was Middle East respiratory syndrome. Then in India we have a very endemic example of Canosur forest disease, which comes from monkeys, the ticks that are there on monkeys. So these are all the zoonotic or the zoonosis diseases. Now here we have the India's National Action Plan for AMR. So you can go through these points. The very purpose is just to develop the awareness about AMR firstly and the ways to tackle against it. With this, let's discuss the second article for the day, which talks about the India and the Gulf relationship. So, as we know that this week, External Affairs Minister of India S. Jaishankar will visit Bahrain and UAE for strengthening the ties between the Gulf region and the Indian region and the Indian country. So let's understand that what has been India's relationship with Gulf till date. So, firstly, as we know that the Gulf region. Now, firstly, let's understand that what actually are we referring as the Gulf region? This entire region is the Gulf region. So, all the Middle East countries, along with Egypt, which is an African country, but still it forms an important part of the Gulf region. So, all these countries Egypt, Israel, Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, and Iran. So, all these countries altogether are known as the Gulf countries or the Gulf region. So, for decades, India saw the Gulf only as a source of oil and a destination for labor exports. Now, as we know that a huge Indian diaspora, that is the population that actually belongs to India, but they work and live in these Gulf countries, in the Middle East countries that we know as. So, India had two major relationships in terms of two things. Firstly, oil, because obviously India is also not a very energy sufficient country, and we import our oil needs from specifically the Gulf countries. Because from 80 to 85% of the Indian oil and energy needs are met from this region. And also India sends a lot of labor as an export, and a lot of people from India work as labor in these countries. Secondly, India had a narrow bureaucratic approach to Gulf, and like beyond these 2 points, we did not really worry a lot about developing bureaucratic relationships with the Gulf region as well. And we saw Gulf through prism of Pakistan. So the only connecting route we used to look at the Gulf region was through Pakistan and Islamabad. But it is now in this article also it has been discussed that it is very desirable that now India leaves alone Islamabad factor, and we on an independent basis develop a good relationship with the Gulf regions, even a better relationship with the Gulf regions. And then for the last few years, PM Modi's as in, this government has personal outreach to the Gulf rulers has cracked open more possibilities, like we have seen the rise of Khaliji. Now, this also can be a prelims question. Please note it down as to what do we mean by Khaliji. It was recently seen in news. So, Khaliji means Gulf capitalism. That is that there has been a huge economic growth in the Gulf region as well, and this economic growth has made it a pivotal and important center of the world, and various countries of the world would they are wanting to develop their trade and economy with the Gulf region. So in India's perspective on the Western Indian Ocean as well, our PM had visited to Mauritius and Seychelles. So basically we are trying to make India or Indian relations more strengthened towards the western side of this world, as in the West Asia or the Middle East countries. Then we have maritime partnership with France, and also we became an observer to the Indian Ocean Commission and also to the Djibouti Code of Conduct. So here, there are some steps that have been suggested in this article, which India should be taking to strengthen the relationship with the Gulf region. Firstly, India should shield its interest in the post-pandemic turbulence. So basically, we should look into the regional instability in the Gulf, and we should play an important role in developing one. And Gulf has started cutting back on foreign laborers, because as we know that in the times of pandemic as well, the import of oil also on the side of India from this Gulf region had decreased due to the lockdown, obviously. And also because the employment opportunities and the economy of this region, the Gulf region, was also falling because the demand of oil, which is the main export commodity of this region, had actually lowered to a great extent. Now, due to this, many laws were passed. As we know, very recently, Kuwait had passed a law to cut down the percentage of laborers that it would entertain from the outside world. And that is why India or the Indian migrant workers who were working over there had been hugely impacted. And that is why India needs to make sure that we have good relations with these countries even after the pandemic has been cured. And so the very labor that used to go from India is still being able to be absorbed in this region. And then, secondly, we should focus on new and long-term possible for economic cooperation with Gulf That means beyond oil as well, we should develop more trade and other economic opportunities for India. Like we should, we are. There have been recent examples of India investing into new projects like for renewable energy, higher education, technological innovation, smart cities, space, etc. And just like we have the very huge example of the development of Chahabar port, in which India had supported hugely Iran for the development of this port. But then the very next point also talks about the inability many a times which is faced by India in terms of funding the very projects in these regions. Just like after the development of Chahabar port in Iran, India had promised a huge amount to give for the development of the Chahabar rail project that could connect India and Iran through sea, through Chahabar port, and from this area to Afghanistan as well. But India had actually pulled out because of lack of funds, and that is why such things should be taken care of, and India should be a good promisee in such, be a good promiser in such regard. Thirdly, we should utilize Gulf's increasing political influence and the ability to shape the political narrative in the Middle East, because as we know that many changes have taken place in the Gulf region. Recently, Israel has, many countries, at least two, three countries have joined hands with Israel as well and recognizing it as a full-fledged country. And also many a times, in many situations, the Gulf countries have been playing an important role in changing the world order as well, and that is why we should be a good ally to this region as well. Then also it has a growing ability to influence regional conflicts like in Afghanistan as well, in Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, and thus these countries are showing their influence, and so they should not at all be underestimated. And then also we should pay attention to the significant reforms in the Gulf. Now, only a few days ago, we had discussed that the Middle East countries, some of them are also discussing about legalizing live-in relationships, as in relationships without marrying as well. So they're thinking to legalize them as well. They're also planning to put down the curbs that they have put on liquor and various other liberalistic ideas as well, and that is why they are showing their willingness to join hands with the outer world, and so India should be doing the same as well. So this is the entire timeline. You can once go through it for your reference. With this, let's see what do we have for news in flash today. Cyclone Nivar. So the Bay of Bengal will see its second severe cyclone after the cyclone Amphan, which was there in May 2020. It is likely to hit Tamil Nadu, and once it intensifies, the cyclone will be given the name of Nivar, as has been proposed by Iran. So we should be updated about this as well. So this was all today. We hope it was a good and informative session for you all. Thank you so much for staying tuned with LawSeco.